listening to the North Shore 9 podcast. Follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Also, make sure to watch NS9 Live as they on Twitch and for becoming a patron. Let's go Bucks!
We love you.
Yo. Welcome to NS9 Live. I, of course, am your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, as always, is my co-host, Ryan Alexander. Ryan, big week on Twitter this week, huh?
Man, I throw one tweet out for the first time in 4 weeks. And we get 43,000 engagements and bunch of, oh, you nutting apologist. You guys are apologists. More nutting BS. Yeah, so, I should just stay on my own Twitter account.
What's up, Amanda? Thanks. Appreciate it. We've worked on that intro. I wish.
Look, Amanda.
Having some little bit of technical difficulties tonight, so those frames were terrible. But anyways, so how you doing, Ryan?
Look at this. I got a fidget spinner here for Amanda.
Look at
that. No, what's the technical difficulties? You got too much flannel on?
Don't hate the flannel.
This is a big show.
I'm breaking
big
everything here right now. Anyways,
are you okay over there?
I'm not. I don't know what the hell's going on, Ryan. I got a little.
What do you got? Cats running around on the floor? What's going on?
I have a little step stool I put my feet on because I'm propped up a little bit on my stool, and the leg just broke.
Jesus. What are you flying in the air? You need a step stool to put your feet on? This is incredible.
I got a tripod now. It's
my
broke.
Goodness. Yeah, that's off. Ooh.
Yeah.
Nice job.
Well, that's done.
And nothing a little wood glue won't fix.
Oh my God. I don't know. Should we just end the show? This is terrible.
And fade to black. No, this is your show, man. This is your payroll percentages.
If DiNardo's wallet would just spend more money, Ryan.
We're gonna open up the book, DiNardo. We're gonna open up the book tonight. Our own payroll book. Break it down. So
all right.
This is your show.
But for real though, no, I hate you saying that this is my show. No, it's funny because what I talked about on the podcast this Sunday, right? We mentioned how there was something I was a bit passionate about. I wanted to bring up this past week, and obviously, it's the Pirates offseason. There hasn't been much to talk about. And then obviously the Kobe
right.
tragedy happened, and we just felt like we couldn't really do it, and we figured we'd push it out of the way. Well, anyways, I said, well, we'll talk about this some other point in time. Ryan, you know me. I couldn't help myself. I put out the episode Sunday night, and my first tweet on North Shore 9 was a little bit of insight, a little bit of thread on what I want to talk about. Just a little piece. And then Ryan F's it all up.
Yeah, I was going to say, you kind of started the fire, a little fire starter on the bonfire, and then I walked over with a tank of gasoline and just started dumping it everywhere, apparently. My bad.
It was and that's kind of how we operate Twitter a lot of times. We throw things out there to get things going, so therefore we can talk about it, on the podcast and such. But man, oh man, the past 2 days, I don't think I've done anything at work. My phone's just buzzing, and I can't help myself.
We've been it's been 2 full days of just notifications, and not just notifications, mentions, just comments coming in, and it's it's got 100 and whatever 80 likes or whatever, so people like what I'm saying, but then we're getting also the people that are oh, that's an apologist. So we got the nutting bashers and everything else, which it wasn't even a tweet regarding nutting. So basically what my point was, because with the Marte trade happening, we talked about that last Sunday. Basically we saw a lot of the tweets about, same old Pirates, Marte got too expensive and we had to deal him. And it's wait a minute. We're supposed to be in this rebuild. He presented the best option to get value back. Now that Vasquez is in jail, Marte is your best option to get value back. So he has 2 years left. I don't care if he was making $3. That was your best chance to get something back, and you're not going to win with him in the next 2 years. So why wouldn't you make that deal and try to get what you can for him? Which they didn't, and thought they did pretty good. So my point was, we saw a lot of the Pirates never keep their prospects. They just, who cares about these 19-year-old kids they got, Donardo? Because if they get good, they're just going to trade them off again, which is pretty accurate. But my point was, if your biggest issue with the Pirates is, that, we just got these prospects, but what's it matter? They're just going to trade them off when they get good. Then why are you even a Pirates fan?
Right.
Just tune into Yes Network, watch the Yankees, watch your Dodgers, Red Sox, whatever, even though the Red Sox are cutting payroll.
Price of Mookie to LA. Dodgers going to bail out the Red Sox again.
That's baseball right now. The Rays don't keep people. The A's don't keep people. The Royals won a World Series, blew it up. Marlins won 2 World Series in our lifetime, blew it up the next year. I mean, even the Brewers, they're dismantling their team. The Marlins,
the Indians already as well. I mean, Lindor's in trade talks and such.
The fact that the Indians are shopping a generational talent in Francisco Lindor that they signed, they homegrown, developed, brought him up. He's a star. The fact that they're shopping him, what's that tell you?
Everything I need to know.
That's what I mean. Is it the Brewer? The Brewers they've spent, but they've backed off too. But the Brewers, the Indians, the Marlins, the Pirates, the Padres, the A's, the Rays, are all these owners cheap, or are they all playing the baseball structure game? And as you can kind of allude to more often, we could call the Yankees and Dodgers owners cheap.
Why?
So, if you look at the
and I got to give props, and I said it on Dinner's Dugout this past week when we were talking to, because he's the one that's got me on this kick. I think I say this more than he ever did, but props to my friend Geddes, the super producer on Dinner's Dugout. He was notorious for saying, two things can be true. And like I said, I've definitely adopted it because it's absolutely correct. I mean, you can be cheap and you can have a structure that works against you. And like you mentioned, Ryan, are all those owners cheap? Yes. But also, can they go out and keep a Francisco Lindor for, this whole generation and all these other players? No, it can't happen. And here's the thing too, Ryan, if it could, then the Dodgers, the Yankees, the Red Sox, all the other teams would just spend a little more because they have the power to do it to ensure they do. That's what they have. They have buying power. They have purchasing power. They can do it. If they needed to, they would just spend a little bit more to ensure that they get those prospects to even, again, just make the small markets not be able to compete. So, yes, you are correct. Owners are cheap, which includes the Yankees, which includes the Dodgers, right? If you want to talk about percentage of payroll used, in regards to the revenue they get, they're cheap as well. You want to talk about the profits and the money they get. They're making tons more money than Bob Nutting is. But at the same sense, so are the small market owners. They're all making money. They're all ensuring they're making money.
Donardo, the owners won't even, and baseball is flush with money right now.
Yes, it is.
The BAM money, the TV money, tickets, merchandise, everything. They won't pay minor leaguers a decent wage.
They're cutting minor leaguers. We did the numbers. If you paid, I don't know, all your minor leaguers $60,000, it comes out to $7-8 million a year. That's a reliever. So I think it was closer to 10 million, but regardless, that's 10 million. So that's
whatever, close enough.
Right.
So it's we can't even do that. These owners are all cheap.
Yes.
They all want to keep the money rolling in. They don't want to screw it up. And that's why we don't have a cap. That's why we don't have a floor. And I don't know, man. We've talked about the kind of the CBA coming up and the fight that's about to happen. There's probably going to be a big one because Players Association is obviously ticked because teams aren't spending, yada yada yada. But I think it was I don't know. We've mentioned we've dealt with so many people in the past 3 days on Twitter, but somebody mentioned, basically about the players are all fighting for them to make more money in these high contracts.
Right.
But really, there's only like 10 guys in baseball that are making, 25 to $30 million a year, while the rest of them are all making league minimum, or they're making, maybe 5, 6, 7 million a year,
A modest
the middle
contract
class.
in theory.
Yeah, and then Max Scherzer making like 32 million a year or something. So it's
Garrett
really,
Cole rocking, 40.
Yeah, it's all over the place, dude. So it's like it's funny that all the players are fighting for this when really it's only eight or 10 players that are making the big money.
Yeah. Well, and the funny thing is too. So, and stop this real quick. So yeah, shout out to Smitty. What's the deal with the Ryan's camera? I don't know if you missed the beginning part of the show. I'm having all kinds of issues right now.
What happened? What's wrong with my camera?
You're. I was gonna say you're flashing us. It's like I don't know. It's weird. It cuts away to like your screen and goes to like a Skype screen, like 0.1 seconds. There it is.
You want the fidget spinner?
And also he says talk about the bar crawl budget. So yeah, actually, real quick, shout out February 15th.
There it
The
is.
Building Bridges bar crawl. You only have a few days to get your tickets. I think until February 6th. So go ahead and get them $35. It's 12 to 9 p.m. There's all kinds of places lined up, venues. We have the live podcast at noon.
100
Come check us out.
participants.
Our payroll's looking pretty good that day, Ryan.
Yeah, 100 participants.
At least.
Donardo's wallet is going to be buying all the drinks, all the beers.
Sure. But yeah, Derek Hall. Wait, so Smitty, is that like legit? Did Derek Holland? Is he with the Pirates? He said that twice. I don't know.
What are we doing? Did we make a move?
I don't care right now. But
I'll look it up. You talk payroll.
Back to payroll and like what you're saying. I mean, owners are definitely cheap. So the whole point of this really was Jim Rosati, North Side Notch, start up a whole whirl on Twitter. Talking about, just a reminder, I can't remember the tweet, verbatim, but just a reminder, the Pirates get $91 million off the bat from national revenue. And everyone going crazy, of course, because the Pirates had $60 million. So they should at least be able to spend $90 million, Ryan. They're getting that for free.
Right.
Right? There's no excuse that payroll should be $90 million. Here's my problem. And maybe this is where I'm more passionate with. Like, obviously we're North Shore 9, we talk about Pirates, but, I mean, I had Dinner's Dugout first. Like, I had an MLB podcast. When I decided what I wanted to do first, it was MLB, not Pirates specifically. And there's you and I, Ryan, like, we focus way more on just the Pirates. Like, we focus on MLB as an entirety. This is the big MLB issue. So when he tweeted it out, and of course everyone's on the microcosm looking at, well, nothing's cheap, they should spend this much. My mind goes immediately to, well, everyone gets that. Like, it's not just like the Pirates were handing $91 million and nobody else was. Everyone's getting $91 million. And if you want to talk numbers, so if the Pirates are getting $91 million, guess who else is? The Dodgers. Guess what else the Dodgers have, Ryan? They have a TV contract that's worth 10 times the amount of the Pirates at minimum.
$200 million TV deal.
So if the Pirates should be able to spend $90 million because of that income they get there, and they're only at 60, well, you could say the Dodgers get that 91, plus they have a $200 million TV contract, and their payroll's under $200 million, Ryan. Aren't the Dodgers just as cheap?
Yep.
Based on just those two numbers alone, because those are the only numbers we wanted to focus on at that point of time.
Real quick, Donardo, on Derek Holland's Twitter page, he got a comment from somebody, Corey. It says, "Congrats on the deal in Pittsburgh, dude."
I didn't know he.
So the Dutch.
I didn't know he was a big
Dutch
hockey
oven.
fan.
The Dutch oven apparently is coming to Pittsburgh.
To play hockey, I assume, right?
Derek Holland. No, but you're actually absolutely right. So
yeah, here it is. Signed with the Pittsburgh Pirates.
Every team gets 90 million or whatever. And now, that number, I don't even know if that's entirely accurate too. But
it is.
Like I said, is the Yankees payroll going up 90 million? Did the Red Sox payroll go up 90 million? Did the Brewers go up 90 million? No, these teams are cutting. These teams are cutting payroll. So also, if we're sitting there in free agency, Donardo, and we're going to go bid on Garrett Cole, and I suddenly get $90 million dropped in my lap, and I say, well, hey, I'll offer him $90 million now because I have this. Well, the Dodgers are just going to offer $100 million, and the Yankees are probably going to offer $400 million. And suddenly, like, where does that, like, you're not catching up.
Right.
Like, so, yeah. And like I said, I don't know if that 91 million is even entirely accurate, but everybody's getting basically the same. So I don't understand how that matters. Now, I'm with you. The Pirates should be spending close to $1 million, if not over it. They were at the end, the tail end of the 3-year window.
You do mean $100 million, right?
What'd I say?
You said $1 million.
Oh, well, that's really where they're at. Yeah.
The Pirates should be spending about $1 million.
They should be spending $1 million.
Which, by the way, if you're in this chat it up. Talk to us. Let us know how you feel. Tell us how wrong we are or right.
But yeah, I mean, they should be spending more. Now, they're also going through a retooling and rebuild, so I don't really know, how much it makes sense to spend. But I'm all for taking on the bad contract for prospects. But yeah, as of right now, normally though they should be spending, and they were spending at the end of the window. Not as high as everybody was expecting or wanted them to. But
right.
But yeah, I mean, they definitely can spend more. That's not the point. But like you're saying, every team could be spending more. Every team could be called cheap.
And literally every team should. So this is where it starts, okay? So the one thing that gets me is, like I said, this is how it all started. This is the whole point of what we're talking about. Nothing that we mentioned, the point of this wasn't to apologize for the Pirates. As a matter of fact, what we've done is call them out. They're part of the problem, and they're actually a bigger portion of the problem. So when you look at MLB figures, they made, big time revenue, Ryan, last year, right? Record revenue. It was, as a matter of fact, they brought in $10.7 billion, right? That was the big talk. And of course, everyone's saying, well, they bring in $10.7 billion, they should be able to spend. Well, when you look at payroll, when you add up everyone's payroll, all 30 teams, it equated to basically $4.1 billion. You know what that equals, Ryan? 39%. Of the revenue MLB came into last year, the team spent 39% on the players. Where's that 61% pie at? It's not like Bob Nutting's taking it all himself. Right. This is my problem. This is why I'm so passionate in regards to this. Everyone wants to focus on Bob Nutting, and everyone wants to blame Bob Nutting. But that's not going to change anything. Signing a petition is going to make Bob Nutting graciously just spend money, out of nowhere because he just wants to now because he feels bad. No, and here's the thing too, and this sounds apologetic, and I get it, but you're doing what everyone else is. How can I be blamed and take the blunt of this when I see everyone else doing the same thing? I'm spending about the same percentage on my people as they are. So why am I at fault? Why are you looking at me? Look at them too.
Right. And I love the people that say, like you mentioned, that, it's not all of a sudden he's just going to, a petition, he's going to just go out and start spending. Same thing with, I love the people that just expect, if Nutting sold the team to a rich owner, Mark Cuban, all of a sudden the Pirates are going to have a $200 million payroll. And, we're going to be signing guys left and right. And, money's just going to be raining down at PNC Park, and they're going to be in first place. And, dude, no owner in the history of the Pittsburgh Pirates has spent money. You could argue that Nutting obviously has spent the most, which makes sense because he's the most recent owner, but they haven't been successful in the past 30 years, except for when Nutting, was in charge of the team.
Right.
So my thing is, nothing is going to change just by having. What makes you think that a new owner is going to come in and suddenly spend money? It just doesn't. It just cracks me up that people think that that's overnight a new owner, and all of a sudden now the Pirates are going to spend all this money. It ain't happening.
So Smith says, take
changes.
on Will Myers' contract, please. Like how you've been talking about, Ryan, like buying.
Right.
buying prospects essentially. I'm for it. I don't know where that's going to go now. I mean, with the Mookie Betts deal, seemed like he's going to the Dodgers. I don't know. If the Yankees want to get rid of Hap's contract, him too. I don't think the Yankees really want to. I don't think they're that motivated. But here's something interesting, Ryan. Alex Novak, 17, says, played against Brendan Malone in high school. He went to Porter Ridge in Indian Trail, North Carolina. Dude is overrated.
Uh-oh.
Doom, doom, doom.
Uh-oh. Did he have a hit off of him?
I don't know. Alex? Fill us in. Give us a scouting report.
Donardo, answer me this question. Speaking of the Red Sox, you brought up Betts. Why are they trading Mookie Betts?
Because they need to get under salary. Sorry, it's what it is. They need to shed salary.
Mookie Betts is like a top generational talent. Why? Like, you can't get rid of somebody else?
Yeah, him and David Price.
Like, that just cracks me up. Like, you're trying to shop Mookie Betts, and it cracks me up.
Ryan. So again, this is literally what we're talking about. You have a team like the Red Sox who are raking in money, and they're going the cheap route. They're trying to dump David Price's salary and tie Mookie Betts as well.
It's wild.
Think about that. The Red Sox.
It's wild.
The Red Sox are essentially doing what the Indians are doing with Lindor, except they're the frickin' Red Sox.
Right.
But again, it's just the Pirates that salary dump Marte. Because the Red Sox could compete right now. They have Mookie Betts. They could compete.
Yeah.
The Pirates cannot compete right now.
Marte is not a salary dump. You don't get high-end prospects back in a salary dump. If anything, you give up high-end prospects in a salary dump to dump a bad contract. Starling Marte was not a bad contract. He's making very relative money over the next 2 years for the production that he's going to give you. At a premium position, too. It was not a salary dump. The payroll was at $60 million. They don't need to dump it anymore. They're trying to get back prospects, high-end prospects, so you can compete in 4 to 5 years.
Yeah. Well,
and yes,
obviously.
If Peguero hits, and you probably are going to have to talk about dealing him when he gets to the end of his deal, unless he takes some team-friendly extension like McCutchen did. And I love these people. Oh, they don't keep prospects. They don't extend anybody. They didn't spend any money on that. Dude, they extended Marte. They extended Polanco. They extended McCutchen once. They signed Liriano. They re-signed Liriano. They re-signed Nova.
They extended Cervelli.
Right. So, Jay Hay.
Yeah.
It just.
I mean, it happens, but the thing is
you can they spent money. You just got to spend it correctly.
And right. So the thing about this though, Ryan, is like the Pirates, the Indians, the Marlins, the Rays. They can get these guys that are young on these cheap deals to pay them a little more up front, but buy out some of the RBers, a few more years after that, So you see Kutch and these guys leaving at like age 30 or whatever, right? It helps the Pirates out. But the thing is, like, they can't re-sign these guys. Like, the Pirates aren't going back and re-up it on Kutch again.
Right.
Like Mookie Betts. Like here's the thing.
At that point.
If the Pirates had Mookie Betts, they don't have Mookie Betts anymore. It's virtually impossible. You cannot allocate that much resources to one player when you're limited in what you can actually do. So, like, even if you're saying that the Pirates can offer, if the Pirates can, they should be able to spend $120 million. Well, if they can spend $120 million, can they afford to spend a third of that to one player?
Right.
No. They'd go bankrupt. That's why, like, I joke, it was a blessing in disguise that the Marlins didn't get Albert Pujols. Because could you imagine him in Miami and where they'd be at? Because now, I mean, he was untradeable, with that contract and his production. They'd be so far off right now. They had to get rid of Giancarlo Stanton. You can argue that the Marlins did it, but they got out of it. They couldn't keep it.
They kind of gave him away.
Before we go and continue, so just some updates. So Alex Novak, right, the guy who played against Malone, says he was 2 for 5 in his career against him.
Oh, wow.
Smitty does mention.
I don't know Alex, but Malone's overrated.
Smitty mentions, which we do all forget. Beefy hit a double off Brendan McKay. People forget.
Who did?
Beefy.
I definitely forgot that.
So, he hit it. I've heard that a few times. I don't know how valid it is, but I have heard that Beefy's hit a double off of Brendan McKay.
We're going to need video of that. Somebody find that video. Does his dad still have it?
Right. So, so Trading Wells basically saying Pirates have signed Derek Hall and it's confirmed. It's like back to the numbers. So Ethan brings up a good point. Ethan's talking, according to Forbes, MLB signed 2 separate 8-year TV deals totaling $12.4 billion. Divide that by 240 and you get $51.67 million per year in theory. One thing I want to say is, like, Ethan and I have gone back and forth. Now, of course, Ethan's the payroll guru, right?
He is.
So I'm not too confident in some of the numbers I've been finding because, for one, like when it comes to TV revenue, Ryan, something we're going to talk about here as well, not everything's disclosed. And the other part too, Ryan, is like when you talk about the Yankees, the Dodgers, right? Like you mentioned, the Dodgers bring in $200 million a year for their TV contract, right? Well, they also own the freaking TV network. You know what that means? If I want to advertise on there, I got to pay the Dodgers. Phillies have a 25% stake. The Yankees have a 100% stake. That doesn't. So to take a step back, when we talk about the MLB profit sharing, right, revenue sharing, 48% of every team, like what they make, goes into this pot, and that's divvied up, like amongst like the bottom 10 people, right? Well, here's the problem. All that stuff I talked about, like the 25% that the Phillies can get in ad revenue, like the Dodgers and Yankees, like the full thing that own it, that doesn't go there. That's money they're making, and that's not disclosed. Right. Like these rich teams are making even more money. That's what we're getting at. Like the gap is just so wide. The rich clubs are egregiously rich, and like the small market clubs, they're so rich, but like there's no way they can compete with them. And it's funny because that's just how MLB set up. Between the markets and the teams, it's how the players are too. It's a rags to riches league in every which way.
You're right. I mean, you're absolutely right. And, there's no easy answers here, but when you look at spending, and we can talk ourselves blue in the face about spending with the Pirates and everything, but yes, the Pirates are at fault, but so are every team. And it's an MLB problem. It's an MLB problem across the board. And whether you have to install a floor and a cap, an actual hard cap, which I think, I don't know why we don't have it. Every other sport has it. And like I said, they said, well, you don't want the players to have the money. Well, then again, yeah, sure. But the money's going to the top 1% of players. Like the rest of them are making, look at veterans, like, guys that are getting, minor league deals and 1-year deals with $500,000, but a bunch of incentives. Nobody's giving out these like middle of the road deals anymore. It's either we're going to pay the stars and the rest of them will pick up on short 1 or 2 year deals. And that's that. So, and you go back, I go back to keeping your prospects and signing those guys. You can make an argument for why would you re-sign McCutchen to a 4 or 5 year deal at that point when he's going to be over the age of 30. That's another problem that MLB's having. One of the reasons why teams are saying they don't want to spend that money in free agency is because when these guys hit free agency, they're 29, 30, 31, 32. Right. That's over the hill basically in baseball. So we've seen the numbers. Production decreases the older you get. Not with everybody. There's outliers, of course, but generally you're going to, it's decreasing. So the argument is a good argument. Why would I spend money for, as an owner of a team on a guy that's 31 years old when I'm pretty much paying for the production that he had, the past 5 years? Mm-hmm. And that's a problem that MLB has. These young players that are coming up, the game's getting younger and younger. You have Chris Bryant just lost his grievance hearing about, they held him back down when he was a prospect. So you have these guys coming up younger and younger. You have other teams holding guys down in the minors like Vlad Jr. and Bryant at that time. And that's when these guys are the most valuable, when they're coming up and putting up 4 and 5 win seasons. And they're getting paid peanuts. So I don't know. I don't know how you work that, if you flip it. But yeah, it's a big issue. I mean, that's a big spending issue that MLB and the Players Association have. And yeah, it's going to be, like you said today on Twitter, it has to happen, but it's going to suck when that war comes.
Yeah. And like you're saying, man, I think it really needs it. I mean, everyone wants to like point out, especially this week, right? Small markets can compete. I mean, yeah, the potential is there. I mean, it's shown, right? The Royals won the World Series.
Windows.
The Rays have made the playoffs. The A's. I mean, like they can do it, but it's not sustained. Like when any team in the NFL, the New England Patriots, every single year they're competitive, which you can line up with Boston, the Red Sox. Like almost every year they're competitive, right? Fine.
Yeah.
But then you have a team like the Steelers, who are in the same market as the Pirates. But you know what, Ryan? Every team in the NFL got $277 million from their true like revenue sharing.
It's crazy.
277. That's the payroll. The Steelers were given their payroll. So anything else they make is what supports their actual organization. No team in the NFL has to literally worry about payroll. What makes them good is actual football decisions. In baseball, you can't just do baseball decisions. You have to worry about your money and the decisions.
Yeah, because NFL has a cap, and like you said, they're getting that much money from revenue sharing. Their payroll's taken care of.
Exactly.
You can spend to the max because you are capped at a certain amount. So it's wild.
And there's also a floor, so they have to spend.
And that's why I love when people try to compare that. But it's apples and oranges, and the Mario Lemieux quote that I always throw out in that article is before the cap. He said we wouldn't be able to compete in a market like Pittsburgh without the cap, and they weren't. They had sold everybody off before that before the lockout, and then the cap happened. So, like I said, we fight ourselves to death sometimes on Twitter, but yeah, MLB's got a huge problem, and it's like you said, the Pirates are part of that problem, but it's not exclusive.
Yeah,
and I love the people. So, small market teams can compete. Sure. Everything has to fall right, but it's always brief windows of success. So, the Rays usually have, a couple good years, then they kind of back off. The Brewers, they have a couple good years, back off a little bit. They go back up. The Astros bottomed out. They completely bottomed out before they went on this run. The Indians backing off again, already slashing payroll. And like, that's what I mean. Like, so somebody's pointed out the Reds. They said, well, the Reds always spend money. Yes. And they signed Votto, which, I'm sure in private, some of the people in that front office regrets that they did that, because I think that does hamstring that down the road, basically, with other guys they can sign. But here's the thing with the Reds, Leonardo. Sure, they have spent money. They've tried to compete, and they're trying to compete this offseason. But at the same time, what have they won? This is a small market team, and I'm not saying that that's a reason not to spend, but I'm saying this is a small market team that has pretty much consistently spent, I don't know, above 80 million to 100 million, 120. They've pretty much tried to spend, and they still haven't won anything. So that's what I'm saying. That's how difficult it is for a small market team to compete. You have examples of teams that will spend pretty consistently, like the Reds, and they still don't win anything. So, I mean, it's just, what do you throw your hands up at it. Like, the small market teams have to hit on pretty much everything. It has to go right.
You're right. And to go to the Reds organization, like, I will at least hand it to them, because you are correct. When you look at them, there hasn't been like this huge, peak and valley with their payroll. It's been pretty consistent. Now, albeit I do agree to what you're saying. I believe part of it is Votto. They gave Votto that contract. It's a pretty hefty contract. It is complete no trade clause. And he, for some reason, doesn't want to leave Cincinnati. He could go to another team and win. and he wants to be in Cincinnati.
So you have Votto. Why wouldn't you try?
Right. Well, that's the thing. So I think that's what it is. Like, you have this contract that's not going anywhere. So I think that's why you and I were both really shocked on, like, why are you going for it last year? And I think that's just what it is they've sped up, like, the rebuilds per se.
Yeah.
Try to make it as quick as possible, because it's like Votto's that window. Like, you have him here, try to compete with him, because once the tail end of his contract's up, like, that's going to be your rebuilding year. So instead of waiting till then to do it, speed it up, see what you can do now. But like you said, it does put him at a disadvantage, because it is his contract that's still like him. Like, yes, they are at $130 million right now, Ryan. And people want to look and point to the Reds, which, again, I give them props for doing it. They stayed a pretty solid payroll, but they want to point to the Reds and say, look, see, you can do it.
Right.
And I look right back at you and say, your case is the Reds, and they're 56% of the Yankees' payroll. That's your best case scenario, and it's almost half of the Yankees still. Again, how can you compete?
Right. And they never they made a couple playoff spots. They never made a run. Hasn't made a World Series appearance since early 90s. It's just, that's what I mean. You have a team like that is competing. Look at the Twins, Donardo. The Twins, and I don't think I wouldn't say the Twins are small market. The Twin Cities, that's a huge market. Mm-hmm. But the poll ads, don't really spend money over the years. Now they have a window. They're adding to it. They went out and they got Donaldson. They had a great year last year. They broke the home run record. They got swept to the Yankees. I mean, those games weren't even close, Donardo. That was the easiest bet I placed last year, was on the Yankees in that series.
Okay.
They got bumped. Yeah. So what are we doing here? Like, when the Twins are doing everything right, they win a division. They roll into the playoffs. Oop, swept out. Mm-hmm. I mean, it sucks. But that's what I mean. Like, just because you spend money as a small market team doesn't mean, and still don't have success. It's tough. And that's what I mean. And the Reds, they really don't have any postseason success or anything. So, like you said, those are your examples, and they can't win.
Yeah. We're getting at like everything has to. If MLB was structured more like the NFL, it would be so much better of a league. You would have that. Like literally league, the Rays could compete in the NL East year in and year out. It's literally would come down to, like the NFL is, football minds, football decisions. It would come down to literally just baseball decisions, right? Who you have in your front office, who you develop, and it had nothing to do with money. It would be such a great league. Because, again, it's just baseball. The Pirates aren't afforded that.
Right.
The Rays aren't. The A's aren't. You have to go in cycles, and you have to trade off, and the fan base has to worry about what jersey can they buy, because, we just signed, Blake Snell, but we're probably going to trade him in 4 years for some what do you call him? Some slapdick prospects.
we got some slapdick prospect for fam.
Right. So it's going to happen. Now, when you're in the Yankees or the Dodgers organization, you have Clayton Kershaw for your entire career because you can afford to keep him. You just sign this line right here. You know what I mean? And that's just never going to happen. So, and another thing I want to bring up. So again, we talked about the TV deals. Like, let's talk about tickets, Ryan. Do you want to know how much the Yankees brought in just ticket sales last year?
Oh boy, billions and billions and millions. Yeah, how much?
$284 million. Guess what the Pirates were?
Not that. I'm going to go under.
$45 million.
Well, that's because they don't spend money, so I'm not giving them my money.
Great. Okay. So let's go ahead and talk about your Reds, Ryan. Guess how much the Reds brought in?
They ain't my Reds. How much they bring in?
$40 million. If your go-to is the Reds, they brought in $40 million. It's everything that you're saying, Ryan. It's everything that you're saying. So once again, if the Reds are like, we're going to do it here, Garrett Cole, here's some money, then the Yankees just say, all right, we'll just throw a little more because we're getting Garrett Cole.
Do you have all the teams' revenue there for tickets?
Yeah. This is just gate tickets. So Ethan's asking based off attendance times average. No, Ethan, this is technically just coming from it's Baseball Reference. But yeah, it's the revenue they brought in just from ticket sales.
How much did the Indians bring in from ticket sales?
Indians brought in 69 million. Nice.
Yeah, it's just it's there's a big disparity there.
Forbes listed this as well,
and then you throw in the TV money, and it's insane.
Right. Can we also talk about how much it costs to go to a game? We've mentioned this before, the fan cost index, Ryan, correct?
I think so, yeah.
Which is basically like if you took a family of 4 to a game, right? 4 tickets, you got 2 beers, like a hot dog, soon. A T-shirt, stuff like that, right? For a family of 4, what would it cost?
Yingling.
If a family of 4 went to a Pirates game, it would cost them $182. That's 4th lowest in baseball. So people want to complain, right? It's also very cheap to go to a Pirates game. A family of 4 tickets, 4 hot dogs, 4 drinks. It was like 2 beers and like a souvenir or something like that, T-shirt or whatever. $182. Do you know how much it costs to go to a Red Sox game?
A lot more.
$354. How much to go to a Cubs? Cubs were number 1.
Like 400 and something.
They were the highest. $370. For what you get to go to a Pirate game at $182 would cost you $370.
I was gonna say, I'm like, boy, when I went to a Cubs game, those tickets are insanely expensive over there.
Oh, right. So so that's what I'm getting at. So
that's low. I thought it'd be in 400s.
So when you add in the prices of stuff at the stadium as well and everything, and how much the tickets are, it's
parking.
Cheap. Pirates don't have people to go to the games, and it's so cheap to go to it. And the Cubs are sold out, the Yankees are sold out, Red Sox are sold out, and it costs so much money to go. I mean, they're raking in revenue there too.
Right. And it's funny because, and I don't know if ticket prices overall across baseball have gone up or down, last couple of years, but attendance has been down across baseball. Mm-hmm. So, it's a thing we talked about, watching on TV in your living room as opposed to, being at the game. And I don't know, I think sports is hitting sort of the bubble that might be bursting as far as, how much people want to spend on these. So, and I get it. I get it for people in Pittsburgh that say, well, I don't, I'm done, maybe not done following them, but I'm not going to be going to games, while the team isn't competitive or whatever. I mean, I get it. I get that.
Yeah.
I don't go to
and
very
the
many
point of your tweet also
that,
wasn't to say you guys aren't real fans if you don't want to be Pirate fans. It's literally facts. It's facts. If you want to follow a small market, you have to put up with the traded X player for prospects, traded Y player for prospects.
And a lot of people said that. Well, they're like, that's why I stopped watching years ago. And I sent them the GIF. I'm like, that's okay. I'm not mad at that. I'm just pointing it out there. That's what you should be doing or whatever.
It's a baseball issue.
Right. And they are losing fans. I mean, over it. And I don't, my dad is not watching baseball these days. He's pretty much strictly football and hockey, but yeah, he's not watching baseball these days. And so, it's a little different here in Pittsburgh because, we have our Yinzers, but yeah, across baseball. I mean, I think it's something in the next couple of years that we've talked about this, teams doing things like membership passes where you can get into the ballpark.
Hayes started that.
Yeah. I think that is a really good idea. And I think that's kind of something that we'll see teams trend to, especially teams that really aren't competing. And like I said, you could throw the argument out there to make every Pirate ticket like $10, everywhere, and just get people in the ballpark because you're getting the TV money. The TV money is going up and up and up. Yeah, you get people in the ballpark and then just get concession stand money and everything else. So, who knows? But that's another story for another day.
Yeah, and as Smitty brings up, because remember, Ryan, the Chicago Cubs are broke.
C broke.
Those bums are trading Chris Bryant. So another one, we talk about Mookie Betts and the Red Sox, right? The Cubs are trading Chris Bryant because they're broke.
Yeah.
Another team that's contending And they're trying to trade their star player.
Family of four is spending almost $400 at a game, but the Cubs are broke.
Right. Tell me, man, like honestly, think about that. The Dodgers, once again, the Dodgers TV deal is a minimum of $200 million. They brought it in ticket sales. And again, this is just ticket sales at the gate, not concessions, not anything else, just in tickets. $195 million. That's almost $400 million right there. And those two entities, the Dodgers have, right? Now, I understand that's before the revenue. But anyways, you know what the Pirates did, as mentioned? Their tickets was, again, Ryan, $45 million. What's their TV contract? I know it's renegotiated, but as of last year, $35. So we're talking $400 million opposed to $80 million. And you want to hammer your bullshit about, don't give me the small market propaganda. $400 million, $80 million.
Yep.
$400 million, $80 million. That's not propaganda. That's factual information.
It's facts.
And like, this is why, again, not to sound apologetic, but this is why I can't just look at Bob Nutting and just put everything on him like everyone else. And nutting. Because as we've talked and shown here, when almost 85% of the team owners are doing the same thing, how can you blame him? Like, this is my stance on this.
Right.
How many listening right now, you guys in the chat right now, how many of you vote for Barry Bonds for the Hall of Fame? Same here.
By the way, I loved your podcast with Parada, Joey Bag of Donuts.
Check
it was
good.
I listened to it today.
Check out the Donut Bag, Joey Bag of Donuts podcast. Me and Parada were on there talking some Hall of Fame.
Donardo over here scolding Parada for voting Omar Vizquel.
Vizquel's not a Hall of Famer. You're wrong, John Parada.
Whoa, John.
So, anyways, if you're voting for Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame, as I am, what's your reason behind it? You know what mine is? Again, I understand he's the greatest player, but
he was a good freaking baseball player.
If your issue is the steroids, I combat that, as many people do. About 85, 75, as John pointed out, maybe a little less than 75, but close to it, was taking steroids then. How can you single out Barry Bonds when 85% of his peers were doing the same thing?
And we didn't know.
I would be hypocritical
who wasn't.
If I pointed out and said, this is a nutting issue, when 85% of his peers are doing the same thing. This, just like the MLB back in the day with the steroids, this payroll situation is an MLB issue, not a Bob Nutting issue. Just like the steroids was an MLB issue, not a Barry Bonds issue. I'd be a hypocrite if I could vote for Barry Bonds, but yet single out Bob Nutting. And that's just what it is.
Right. And Bob Nutting gets away with what he does because baseball allows it. And that's why other owners also get away with what they do, because the way baseball is set up, it allows it. So, no cap. They want teams to spend.
No cap.
But teams aren't really spending.
I agree.
So you want them to help, they want the players to get money, but with no cap, no floor, these owners really don't have to spend.
And that's literally
crazy.
it. There's no one forcing their hand. They're enabled to do it. I mean, even when you looked at, it was a few years back, Ryan, Oakland, Tampa, Pittsburgh, they were looked into it. That, right, Smitty? Boomer Ryan says no cap sucks. And he doesn't even get it. But anyways.
Okay, Boomer.
Like they were looked at because of low spending, and nothing happened. Because nothing can happen. It's not going to change unless there's a literally fundamental change within MLB that enforces it. You get true revenue sharing, which New York doesn't want, Boston doesn't want, LA doesn't want. Why would they want that? New York Yankees made $688 million last year. Why do they want to give up a piece of that? But unless you have that and then a floor with a cap, nothing's going to change amongst the owners.
That's it. I mean, you're absolutely right. And like I said, I don't, there's no easy answers, but it's going to be interesting in the next CBA negotiation.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the chat.
I was going to say, I'm like, did I lose Donardo? Did I lose?
We got a response. You are the man. I'm going to do an animated be right back intro and offline screen for your stream. All right. Peace out, man. Appreciate you joining the chat.
Did Bucko Mike join to see your flannel?
I don't know. I did wear this for Bucko Mike tonight, though.
Unbelievable.
But yeah, so I feel like we got a little bit of our frustration or vents out, what we wanted to say, right? We used Twitter to lead up with this.
I also, I think either this week on the pod or next week or 2 weeks from now on North Shore 9 Live, I want to tee off on some narratives that these narratives that don't die, and they're just not factual. They're just not factual, Leonardo, and it pisses me off. If you're going to argue about the Pirates with us, that's fine. We love talking baseball. We'll argue points all day long. Civil. But
debate.
You gotta
I like that. We'll debate.
Yeah.
Because
you got to have your facts correct. You got to have the facts correct.
Right.
So again, don't come in there and tell me that they cut payroll after 2015.
No. Not just cut payroll. They decimated.
Yeah, they decimated or dismantled a team. No, they didn't. They did not cut payroll. It actually went up. So I understand they didn't go out and get your $30 million hitter that you wanted. But don't tell me that payroll went down. They decimated the team. They didn't. Mm-hmm. So things like that is kind of what I want to maybe next week, maybe this week on the pod coming up.
Right. And I'm with you, man. Like that's why I hate, again, all you nutting apologists, because we probably agree on the same thing, but you want to stick to a narrative and I'm going to stick to the facts. So you want to say, well, they decimated 98. Well, they didn't decimate. Now, ideally, it wasn't good. Again, two things can be true. They didn't add, but just because they didn't add doesn't mean they decimated. It was literally the same team, except they didn't have Neil Walker, who needed a walker, and they didn't have who else? You know what I mean? Like who really didn't come back that year? So it's just the fact that it was basically the same team. You can't say they dismantled a team if it was the same. So, anyways, that's definitely a podcast for another day. Next NS9 Live, we'll say.
Yeah, exactly.
Burnett and Happ. What did Burnett do? And Happ, that was a risk.
Burnett retired. So okay.
No, he went. No. He went. That's when he went to the.
No, he went to Philadelphia in 2014 and then came back.
You're right.
So Burnett retired. Yeah, he retired a Pirate, dude. So
I know. He retired. That was they didn't keep him though.
He retired. They made a baseball trade with Neil Walker for Nice, which was a major league starter to replace Burnett, and then they were banking on Tyone and Glasnow to come up midseason, which Tyone did. But they had so many other issues. Liriano was a dumpster fire. Cole was injured and wasn't himself. Vogelsong sucked. Nicasio, who had a .0 ERA and in spring training, wasn't good. Kutch was down. So the core regressed around all them.
Yeah.
But go pull up the 2015 opening day lineup and compare it with the 2016 opening day lineup and tell me that team is dismantled.
Right. So and that's what I want to get to. That's where, again, it just comes down to facts, right? Like what you're saying is true. It wasn't dismantled, but they didn't add. However, you could definitely still argue, had they spent whatever, still would have went nowhere because of the regression of so many players.
Yeah,
So
it's just
unfortunately it ends up being a moot point because nothing would have happened anyways.
But like that line, we see it so much on Twitter when people come at us. And it's like, no, they didn't. The payroll did not get cut. So it just cracks me up. It's like, somebody spewed it on the fan long enough or on Mark Madden's show. So now it's just become it's become a reality because everybody keeps bringing it up when it wasn't true.
As Ethan says in quotes, the Pirates who let power hitting first baseman Pedro Alvarez walk away because of his potential earnings in arbitration. Nightingale, his earnings, not his .2 WAR. Yeah, so he goes to Baltimore and then ends up in the minor leagues.
Yeah,
ends up in the Marlins in the minor leagues, and he's out of baseball.
Not his 8,000 errors from third and then first.
No, couldn't be that.
Did you see Jordy Mercer?
Again, though, regression. Oh yeah, Mercer. Speaking of regression, what about him?
He signed a minor league deal with the Tigers.
Jeez.
He's as my buddy Joe said, Mercer hasn't been the same since we bashed him. But he gets better every year.
All right. Yeah. So I think I've made a bit of my piece on this whole MLB issues.
You feel better?
I feel a little better. I appreciate it. How about you, Ryan? Anything else you want to say?
Nah, I'm good.
So we will have another podcast this Sunday. As mentioned, February 15th, the bar crawl. Come hang with us. We'll be podcasting at the Foundry at noon. And I'm trying to go to a damn hockey game on Sunday, Ryan. This will be the first time ever I've been to a hockey game in Pittsburgh. As a matter of fact, I've only been to one hockey game. It was with you, and it was actually in Tampa during spring training we're at to see the Pens Lightning play. So if I go Sunday, this is literally my first time watching a hockey game in Pittsburgh. I would say a hockey night in Pittsburgh, but it's a day game. So it's my first time watching hockey in Pittsburgh. So this is a major event.
As Mike Lang would say, it's still a hockey night.
So yeah, anyone want to come to the Pens game on Sunday? I'll be staying there. Are you coming, Ryan?
I don't think I'm coming to the game. No.
You're such a boomer.
Okay, boomer. All right, let's get out of here.
All right. With that said, we'll see y'all later. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll see y'all later. Bye. Peace.
Peace.